Good afternoon, and welcome to Primetime at the BU Library. Primetime is a collaboration between the Friends of the BU Library, Academic Affairs, and other offices on campus. And it celebrates learning in and beyond the classroom of Bethel with the faculty, students, and staff. We archive videos of past presentations. If you'd like to explore them, you can find them in the BU Digital Library YouTube channel or in the Spark Digital Archive. Join us on Thursday, October 31st in this new time slot, starting at 1:20 p.m., when in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, Dr. Juan Hernandez Jr. will present the triumph of the vernacular, the rise, dissemination, and transformative power of the Bible in Spanish. This afternoon, we're pleased to welcome Dr. Claudia May, Executive Director of the Center for Community Engaged Learning, Professor of Reconciliation Studies, and somebody that I have the privilege to work with very closely and have watched the transformation of the CCEL over the last couple of years under her stalwart leadership. Welcome her and the golden team of 2024 Summer Community Work-Study Bethel student employees as they share their stories working alongside and learning from the St. Paul, Rondo, Frogtown, Midway, and Summit University community gardeners, wisdom bearers, and educators. Dr. May.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you. Okay. Well, it is an absolute privilege to be here, and usually I have a long spiel, but honestly, this wonderful group of students are going to share their hearts with you, and I just can't wait. There are a couple of things that I do want to say in terms of thank yous, because none of these events and the work of the Center for Community Engaged Learning could not exist without the partnership of so many special people. So I want to thank Sarah Disher, our program coordinator, who's over there, who has done such an exceptional job in her time here with us, and just am so appreciative of the skills she brings to this program and the work of the center. I want to thank Anne Gannon, yes, and Rondo Kilbraith. And just for your, and all the library staff, I love librarians. I think what you do for our society is critical for connection. So thank you for bringing a heart of love, for fostering intellectual and creative curiosity through the library. And so I just deeply appreciate all that you do. I want to thank my immediate supervisor, Dean Barrett Fisher II, who introduced me. I couldn't be more grateful for such an amazing supervisor, supporter, co-collaborator in the work that we do at the Center for Community Engaged Learning. I want to thank Susie Nelson, yes, thank you. I've known Susie now for over 8 years, 8 wonderful years being supported and partnered by this incredible woman who truly, I think, embodies reconciliation in deep, abiding ways. I'm going to introduce our students, and then I'm going to play a video that, and I shouldn't forget our community partners that are in the house. Megan, Cherie, and Melvin Giles. Thank you, members of the American Form of Gardening Alliance, who have for decades mentored our students, poured into our students, guided our students. They are, I would argue, honorary professors at Bethel for the work that they do. So I'm going to, the students that were part of our summer 2024 UFGA CCEL summer initiative are Megan Hayton, Preston Meyers, Respect Djunga, and Caris Worsham. And so I'm going to just play this video here that encapsulates some of their reflections about their experiences this past summer.
my name is Preston, and one word I can use to describe my experience with the UFGA this summer is that of privilege. And what I mean by privilege is not only was it a real honor to learn and get to understand how to garden and what to look for, how to do certain things in relation to gardening, but also it was a real privilege to get to know and work alongside so many wonderful and different types of people that I never really have gotten to experience before in my life. And it was really a great privilege to see the fruits of something as simple as gardening in the Frogtown and Rondo neighborhoods especially create real good social change and real good energy. So this experience, I believe, was a true privilege.
My name is Megan, and my summer at UFGA can be summarized in one word: rest. My time with community members in Frogtown and Rondo neighborhoods taught me the importance that time is not necessarily linear. We don't have to get everything done at a set time and to put that work first. We can instead see time as in the present, as a time to rest in the present and where we are at, and to then be more engaged with the community members and with each other and learning and listening from each other and what we are doing and seeking to accomplish. I'm so thankful for the books that we have read on this subject as well, particularly Rest is Resistance, and how I can implement those skills and self-care into my regular life. So grateful for this experience at UFGA.
Hello, my name is Respect, and a word that ended up resonating with me after my summer experience with the Urban Farming Garden Alliance is the word intentionality. We spent a lot of the summer going to different gardens, and in our maintenance of the gardens we got to uproot some plants that usually didn't belong in that plot, or would have been harmful to the plants that we were trying to plant. And in doing this, I found myself being very slow about how I was pulling it. And now that I look back, the word is actually intentional and not slow, because I was trying to pull the plants from the roots so they wouldn't grow back to cause harm to other plants. And I've applied this to the way I view social justice.
Hi, I'm Caris, and one word that comes to mind when I think about my work-study experience with UFGA is humility. The main task that Melvin gave us this summer was to just be present to Rondo and the other neighborhoods we were working in, and this summer really reinforced the idea that an important part of being present to a new community is just listening and learning from the experiences of community members instead of coming in and trying to lead with your own experiences. I also think of humility when I think about the work we did in the gardens. We spent so many hours pulling up neighbor plants just for them to grow back pretty much immediately. And this reminded me that ultimately humans are not in control of the land. And so we have to really be in tune with our place in that ecosystem and learn how to partner with the land instead of trying to control it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to pray for us, and then I will introduce our first speaker. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, thank you for creating the earth that we live in. Thank you for the blessings of those who taught us so many incredible lessons about what it means to be present to the beauty of this earth. Thank you for the students that will be sharing their insights today. Help us to be attentive learners. Help us to be teachable as we ponder their observations, soak in their words, reflect on their perspectives. And again, Lord, we thank you for the honor and privilege of knowing you, following you. In your precious names, God, Jesus, Spirit, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so our first speaker is Preston Meyers.
Hello. I just want to thank you all for being here. It really means a lot that you are listening to our testimonies about our experiences this summer. And I really quickly just want to thank Sarah for opening me up this opportunity with the UFGA this summer. It's something I never would have even imagined doing before her testimony in my intro to sociology class this last summer, or this last semester. But yeah, I just want to thank you for just opening my eyes up to a wonderful and amazing experience like I had this summer. So I just want to thank you for that. And I couldn't do justice what this experience was to me and what it meant to me in a few minutes. But I just want to give my gratitude and give my blessed heart away to a few of the mentors that I got to meet and experience with this summer. And the first one is Miss Cherie Cueto. And I can speak for all of us here. She was our rock, and she was literally like our catalyst for everything. She made our lives so much easier. She planned overly for us, and I wish you could see your calendar, because it's filled from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single day in the summer. But she taught me so much and gave me so much wisdom about just gardening in general. Like, I didn't know I didn't even know what a collard plant was, what it looked like. But she taught me everything from how to take care of a plant, how to like harvest a plant, and even just like how to use grass clippings to use as fertilizer to help plants grow. So, but yeah, she was everything to us, and I can't thank you enough for all the work that you did for us. Grateful doesn't even do it justice what you did for us. I really appreciate everything you did for us, Cherie. And the second mentor I want to mention is the person who gave us the label of Golden Team, Mr. Melvin Giles. And like Caris already mentioned in her video, I just want to give a lesson to describe how good of a person he is. The being present thing. And I didn't get this idea for the first month of working with the UFGA. I'm just like, I'm here. Like, what else do I need to do? But then I talked about this in my reflection to Dr. May, and being present is so much more than just being there. It means like opening up your mind and your soul to whoever you're listening to, and it means just not letting anything else get in the way of just being there with that person. And I'm so glad I get this now, and it's because of Melvin. And being present is just what he is. He just leads with love. He leads with so much energy, and he's been doing this community work for decades now at this point. And I'm awe-inspired of the man that he is, and he is an unbelievable role model to me. And I'm very, very, very thankful that I got to work with him and just grow from him as a person. And before I mention my last mentor is, I just want to say that this work wasn't always glorious, and it wasn't always the most fun thing to do. As many of you know, a Minnesota summer is probably about the worst place you can be in. It is humid, and it feels like the days just go by as slow as they possibly can. But it was just really, really amazing to see the hard work that we did create so much good social change in the communities of Rondo and Frogtown. And yeah, I'm just so blessed that I woke up every morning with a willingness to do this and willingness to learn from the people that I got to work with. And the last person I want to mention really quickly and thank is Dr. May. She was our program director, and she led our book discussions for a good 6 to 7 weeks. And in the summer, I'm like, why are we reading? It's the last thing I want to do after a whole year of lectures and reading was do more reading. But she led our discussions with just the most amazing mentality. She wanted us to reflect and give our own testimony on what we took away from each chapter. And how she did it was just the most empowering and respectful thing that I have ever felt. She really made me feel like that I was appreciated, and she wanted to expand on my knowledge and understanding of our books. And I just want to thank you for being the most selfless and kind-hearted person that I probably have ever met in my life. And I'm incredibly blessed that I got to meet you and work alongside with you. So I just want to thank you, Dr. May. I'm incredibly grateful for you. That's all I have. Thank you very much for listening to me. I really appreciate you all.
Okay. Our next person is Caris Worsham.
Hi everyone. If we haven't met, my name is Caris, and I just want to thank you all for being here to listen to our experiences working with the Urban Farm and Garden Alliance this summer. And I'm excited to share with you some of the things I learned from working together as a team and from community members in Rondo, Frogtown, and the Summit University neighborhoods. So in one of my classes last semester, there we go, I learned that when it appears in the Bible, the word hospitality is made up of 2 Greek words that mean love and stranger. So hospitality literally translates to love of stranger. And before, I hadn't really given much thought to this word outside of the context of entertaining guests in your home. But learning what the true definition of biblical hospitality is really caused me to rethink what it looks like and what it means to be hospitable, especially in a culture that affirms a fear of the unknown. So I have been working through what hospitality means and looks like in my life, and I think that we can be tempted to reserve our love for the people that we already know, whether that be our friends or people that look and think like us, but I understand this now as the opposite of hospitality as Jesus modeled it. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to work with UFGA at the time that I did, because I truly encountered so many teachers of hospitality in the neighborhoods where we gardened. I was a stranger in these neighborhoods. I had spent barely any time there before this summer, but I was never made to feel unwelcome. I was actually welcomed with engagement and with warmth, and something that stands out to me the most is the way that community members showed us hospitality in our small everyday interactions. Like when we were working in gardens, people would often stop and just say hi or ask about our work. Or if neighbors were outside, when we walked by, they would shout out and just say hi. And one thing I remember well is when one day we were flyering and it started raining, and a neighbor actually invited us onto her porch, and we just got to chat for like 15, 20 minutes. And I just thought that was so awesome. Dr. May further prompted my reflection on this sort of hospitality when she asked us to consider if the community members we have met would be welcomed into our communities the way that we've been welcomed into theirs. And in all honesty, in many of my communities, people who do know each other will walk by with their heads down, much less be intentional about engaging in conversation with strangers or inviting them into their spaces. And this just made me realize how special it was to have so many examples of biblical hospitality in Rondo and the surrounding communities, when these examples are something that's been largely lacking in my life before. Some of the best teachers of hospitality that I found were the kids in the children's garden. I'm just so amazed by the way children are able to give love so freely and so quickly. They're so curious about us. They ask us so many questions,
and they don't filter themselves in the way that they're able to authentically express themselves really make space for other people to be vulnerable as well. And it was so cool to just be with them and learn from them all summer. Another thing I learned from this summer is how gardening brings people together. Because gardens create a space for people to spend hours together working and collaborating to make something beautiful. And I really saw the way that brought our team together. Before this summer, none of us really knew each other, but through spending hours together in the gardens, working together towards common goals, and of course, always making time for ice cream, we really got to know each other and we learned how to work together well. One of our projects this summer was planning and facilitating a neighborhood national afternoon out event. And my biggest responsibility for this planning was the food. So despite Cherie warning us that making kebabs by hand would be an extremely time-intensive process, we of course decided to go ahead and do it anyways. But I'm honestly really glad that we did, because one of my favorite memories from the summer was the day before the event. 4 of us and Megan P spent 7 hours preparing these kebabs by making the marinade and cutting and skewing the veggies. And while there definitely were some tears shed from cutting the onions, we had so much fun together, just talking and listening to music. And I think this was a defining moment in our relationships, and also taught me that through collaboration, like, joy can be found in situations that would otherwise be stressful. Planning the National Afternoon Out event also involved a lot of collaboration with friends and partners of UFGA, with local businesses, exhibitors, and performers, with the St. Paul Police Department, and with volunteers that came and helped us put on the event. And yeah, it was truly a group process, and the event couldn't have been what it was without the contributions of each person and each group that was there. And I've really experienced the love of community and the generosity that these people and organizations exhibited through so freely giving their time and resources and energy into just making this event happen. Yeah, this generosity, actually I want to give a few examples of that. There are so many examples, but some of them are one of the neighbors, Mrs. Mim. She let us use her electricity to blow up the bouncy house, and Caris, she volunteered to bring rhubarb bars for dessert. We had so many volunteers come, like our family members and Bethel students and people from the community coming and just helping this event to go as smoothly as possible. So in their generosity, I honestly was stressed preparing for this. Sometimes I'm kind of a control freak, but through the generosity, I really felt so loved and supported and encouraged in this. This generosity was a theme of the entire summer. I think generosity is the fabric of what community gardens are and what they do, because they give a space for people to gather and they give nutritious food to the community. And one of the examples of this is in the Victoria Rondo garden. Cherie planted the tomato plants in a way that the branches would droop over on the sidewalk, so anyone walking by can just grab a tomato as they walk past. And I think this is such a wonderful reflection of the generous food culture that I witnessed this summer. And that generosity is not, I saw it in so many ways, but it's cool to see how the gardens are also helping kids learn generosity. This picture is from the children's farmers market that the kids ran, and in that they were able to sell some of the produce that they grew and produce from the other gardens in exchange for donations to Flava, which is a local Black-owned cafe. And through these gardens and through projects like this, they're learning how to collaborate and how to give freely what they've grown. And I think that is just so culture shifting, and it's just so cool to witness that ripple effect of UFGA's work. I just want to take a minute to shout out Dr. May and Sarah for making this work-study experience so enriching. Our weekly book discussions really were a big part of my learning this summer. It was a place and a space that we got to return to talk through things we were learning about, like environmental justice, nature, rest, and community collaboration. And if you know Dr. May, you know that even if you have you think you have a basic understanding of something, she has this way of dropping this crazy wisdom on you that makes you think 10 times deeper about whatever it is. And being able to facilitate this process of ongoing learning that never stops, I think is what makes her such a wonderful teacher. And Sarah, hi Sarah, I just appreciate your contributions to our discussions and just your presence in the office. You're always the first to meet a need, especially this summer if that need was technology related. So I really appreciate that. I also want to give a special shout out to Megan and Cherie and Melvin and just echo everything that Preston said, and also just personally thank you for the way that you poured your time and your wisdom into us all summer. It was so meaningful to be a recipient of that, and I really admire each of you in different ways, but I admire the way that you're each invested in the community in a different way, and the way that you were able to lead by example. Like everything that I talked about, you each model so beautifully, and I feel really grateful to have learned from you all summer, and I just wanted to know that those things I've been carrying with me and will continue to learn from in the future. Thank you.
Okay, so the next person that I have the honor to introduce is Megan Hayton.
I just wanted to start by thanking everyone for this experience and all the people that have been involved in UFGA, even members in the past who have worked for UFGA. I'm just so grateful for the example that UFGA has for all of us, whether we are there one summer or many summers, or we are a child in the garden every summer participating in community. I just want to thank them for how they have continuously brought hope and love to the community in the Frogtown and Rondo neighborhoods. Before I get into the logistics of what that looked like, I want to first talk about the hope and love that I had to first develop within our own community of the Golden Teen. So as Caris mentioned, we did not know each other at the beginning, at least on the personal level that dad jokes and ice cream treats later brought. This job, unlike many other jobs that you have, is very personable. You are always in conversation with each other, whether that is with the communities that we are working under or with ourselves in a hot day, pulling neighbors. Now, when I say neighbors, Megan taught us that we should call weeds neighbors because we want to give respect back to nature. And I know that might sound funny to you, and it certainly did sound funny to us. We worked together in fostering this love for the plants that we worked with and for the hard work that we put into it. Hot days, rainy days, there were many days full of rain where we had to show up to work this 8-hour shift and not exactly know what we were doing because God decided to bring a rainstorm. So we ended up right next to Sarah's office working on plans for community events. And even events that we got to participate in ourselves, just to grow our own community as a team and understanding of the Frogtown Rondo community. I want to thank Cherie especially for Field Trip Tuesdays. You can see a picture up there of our time that we spent at the Hmong Marketplace in St. Paul. Highly recommend. The plants were really fun to just pick out our own plant that we knew was grown by hand by these people. They were all different people working at this Hmong Marketplace, and you could see just the love that they put into their work. If you had a question like, I've never seen this plant before, could you tell me what it is? They were so willing to explain to us. And the food is really good. You should also go in and try some of the food. Many a lunch break was spent getting food from the Hmong Marketplace. We also developed love and hope and community within the children's garden. And I want to thank Megan for that. This garden, I'm not going to say that we brought to this garden. We did. We were here and worked in the garden, but I'm going to say the garden invited us. The children's garden is for children from 0 to pick a number, 80. Because what Megan is trying to say is that we're all children and we all need to learn from each other and from the garden itself. And even on days where we were off, the children's garden events were over, or we were just watering the peace garden, you can see all the way on the right, we have a picture of when the children's garden finished with a bang. It was pouring rain, and we were all sheltering in the little shed. And then a little rainbow comes out, and we got some pictures. So just going with the flow of time and what it brings us and enjoying the company of each other. Especially the children. The children in the garden brought us so much joy and hope in the fact that, well, these children were being raised to foster peace and love in the community. And that is just something that we really want to bring about, the importance of raising our children to just show love and creativity and imagination. This girl, Trey, that's in the picture with Caris and I, she was such a blessing to us. One time we were watering, and then she comes up down the block, because she just lives on the street, and she's like, oh, can I help you guys? She helped us water a little bit, and then when she saw the tent that Melvin recommended that we put up for our use, became a special place of imagination for Trey. She came into the tent with us, Caris and I, and wanted to have some girl time. And we enjoyed that girl time as much as she did. So as you can see, the children's garden just fostered so much imagination and new relationships for us to build with the children, and lessons that the children can teach us. Lessons like taking time for imagination, time to go into that tent and to be with each other and to just grow in that. Here I want to talk about some specific examples and stories of giving back to the community and hope and love that was fostered this year in particular. So in the Frogtown Rondo area, we have this one garden that Cherie spent so much time in with us, the Victoria Rondo garden. And she was telling us about how each of the plots in the garden were for the members of the community. They could email or they could just come and speak directly with her to have access for one of those plots to create their own garden and their own food source. And I got to actually witness that happen. We all got to see Alana Stacy bring her children to the garden, Timothy Jr. and Timson, and we helped weed a garden bed for them. And it's just amazing to see how the hospitality that we were taught to show them and to weed that bed for them and to help them with gardening, even though it was challenging at times. We got to see it bearing back to the community, and so fast and rapid. I didn't expect that the next time we saw this family would be in the children's garden. And Timothy Jr., Wild at Baking, he brought his own mulberry pie. Now, the symbolic meaning of this for me is so huge because those mulberries were from a mulberry tree that we despised. This tree dropped red stains all over the sidewalk, and it just felt like a nuisance. But Timothy Jr. created a pie that he shared with the children at the garden. And then later in that summer, his younger brother, Timson, decided to share some of his shoes that he couldn't wear anymore, and he was giving them out to free to the kids. So that was just so beautiful to see the hospitality and the generosity that having a community that fosters hope and love brings. And then I also want to talk about Ewo and his song that he made on peace. This was just so interesting to me that he was invited to one of the children's garden events, and he taught the kids how to sing this song that he made about fostering peace. And he told me afterwards about the importance of fostering peace into children's hearts at an early age. we need to grow closer to each other through the importance of world peace. I forgot to talk about this, but my first slide showed a picture of the peace pole, which Melvin has in many important locations in the Frogtown Rondo community, because we want peace to prevail on this earth. So I encourage you to believe that there can be peace within our own hearts, and then share that heart with the community, like Hebrews so taught us. All right, and this is just a picture of the Children's Garden, a lively event full of people, full of community, hope, and love. So what can love and hope look like in our own communities? In our community at Bethel, your church community, your communities at home, within your own neighborhoods. I encourage you to meet with people, to be generous, and to be open to learn. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, as everyone has done, I just want to begin by giving thanks to everyone that's here, and also Sarah and all the folks. I also want to especially thank Dr. May, Melvin, and the UFGA crew. This is my third year with UFGA, and it's been a trip for sure. I look back and reflect on the person I was when I first encountered Dr. May and also UFGA, and reflect on who I am now. And it's like, wow, it's like a world of difference. I've actually grown, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. They've just helped to like nurture me with such tenderness and love, and it's just been a humbling experience to be taught under all these people, and for that I'm just eternally grateful. So thank you, appreciate that. Well, yeah, that was the thank you. All right, so over the summer we read this book, which once again Dr. May would have us read and discuss the readings on Tuesdays. One of the books we read was A Darker Wilderness by Aaron Sharkey, and in the discussion of this book, we talked about a man who I think at the time of this book being written, and also I think now, is still incarcerated. But there was a quote in this book that talked about this man, and this is the quote, where it goes as follows: "Many objects of personal significance and historical value have been lost to time because of a number of factors: lack of resources, lack of imagination, and the lack of vision on the part of archivists, librarians. Incarceration has also erased many stories and their evidence. One of the ways the carceral system operates is dehumanizing people by invisibilizing them and the impact their absence has on their families and our communities. The erasure includes mementos and ephemera, evidence marking significant moments in the lives of those incarcerated within the justice system." So, being a rec studies major and also community health, I've gotten the opportunity to learn a lot about systems and also injustice that exists within our world. And in my learning about combating all this injustice, I've learned about how story can be important in preserving the histories of people and advocating for ourselves when we tell our stories. I've also learned that one of the most effective tools of oppression is the erasure and perversion of the stories of certain people groups, as we've seen in history, where false narratives have led to the dehumanization of certain people groups. With recognition to this power story, which is like a class Dr. May taught, I wanted to highlight the work that UFGA has been doing to reclaim and preserve and also cultivate stories. So I've been raised with the perspective that nature is mine for the taking, something that I as a human being should rule over and control. Yeah, this is a very interesting thing, like a very arrogant perspective to have, but it's a perspective we have in how we engage with the world. It's like you see land and it's like, this is my land and I own this and I dictate who comes on this land. It's something that I didn't realize my first couple of years working at UFGA. I'm like, oh, it's kind of whack. And and yeah, through working with the UFGA though, the children's garden where you see the kids, I got to kind of challenge this narrative where, through learning alongside the kids and the children, I got to, and also through the weekly learning that we got to do, I got to begin the work of deconstructing this narrative and also restructuring my story as it relates to nature. UFGA, where's Megan? Oh, here. Megan does a great job of bringing people from community into a children's garden and like teaching children about our relationship with the land. And there's been a couple of instances where I found myself like thinking like this was for me. It wasn't even for the kids, because the people that Megan ends up bringing, they'll talk about just, that aspect of us being connected to the land. I remember this one lady talked about like just bugs and squirrels that exist in the garden. And it's an obvious perspective. She's like, the bugs don't know they're in a garden, but we have such hatred towards them. Like, what are you doing in my garden, pulling my little carrots and stuff? But it's like, they don't know that. And we are caught in this mindset of, oh, this is our property, and like it's supposed to be a certain way. And we try to kick these things out, these things that are bringing the beauty into our gardens. We try to like, take them away and make this thing as clean as possible. And this is a mindset that, once again, I grew up with that. It took until this third year to realize like, no, this is a part of me. I am this nature. I've also started the work of, once again, deconstructing and rewriting the story of my relationship with my plant relatives. I remember before the summer, Dr. May invited me to write a poem because I was interested in writing poetry, and I was really struggling to find like the beauty in nature, like just a tree, man. I don't know what I can write about that. But she urged me to continue like just taking the time to sit down and see what makes a tree, right? And I'm gonna sound like a lunatic, but one day I just sat down and I was looking at a tree and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a tree. And it's like the most, the most beautiful thing ever. And I was able to develop a relationship with it of, this is something that has been here longer than any of my known like human relatives have been here, and it's seen the world in ways like I'm just like, it's seen the world, it's seen people like me die, come back, be born. It's just been here, and there's such history and beauty to that, presence of the tree, and it's something that I never was able to capture until my time with UFGA and also learning underneath Dr. May. And I just want to take the time to, once again, thank UFGA for doing things like this, not just with people like myself, but with the youth, to think that, we have children now who are comfortable going into gardens and like picking up. This is an ag plant, by the way. It's not a tomato. Just, I learned that this summer, but like things like that, having children now come into the gardens and being comfortable enough to like pick up a flower and like telling me, oh, this is this flower. I'm like, no, it's not. But then they're like, yes, it is. And then like, they're comfortable enough to argue about it. And it's just the most beautiful thing. So it's like this idea of UFGA is reclaiming this narrative of certain people don't belong in nature, and making it like, no, nature is for all of us. There's no one that should have claim on, a piece of land and like exclude other people from having access to that. And yeah, UFGA has been doing that, and they've also helped me to, I guess, break free of a mindset of dominance over nature and help me to come to a place of living in collaboration with nature like our ancestors did. And yeah, that's my talk. Thank you.
Okay, so from my estimation, how many do just a minute left? 3 minutes. Okay, so does anybody have any questions for our team members? Yeah, great. So just so you know, this accent isn't fake. It's real. I'm Black British, so people are like, who is she? Why is she talking this way? Okay.
Thank you. I thank you all so much. I have so many more things to say, but I'll keep them to myself right now. I want to ask one, what was that plant that you said was not a tomato? And, because I don't know. And also I was wondering if there are any new relationships with particular vegetables or plants that you all have because of this summer.
Those are great questions. Wow. Okay.
All right, the plant. Yeah, you might have to go look it up just to like fact check me, but I think it was an eggplant of sorts. I want to say Turkish eggplant, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I was like looking at it, I'm like, Cherie, look how red these tomatoes are. She's like, that's not a tomato. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Relationship.
Relationship with?
I definitely have grown a lot closer to collards. Cherie allowed Preston and I to take home these huge bags full of extra collards that we weren't able to use. And my mom had fun trying to figure out how to cook them because it was not part of our culture to have collards. So gradually we incorporated them in a lot of recipes because we're not a family to waste food. And I have converted some of my siblings, whereas others are still adamantly against it. But I, for one, love a good collard.
Thank you, Megan. Oh my God, the humor is great. Okay, anyone else? Question for our esteemed guests and educators. Anybody? Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up because I want to be a good steward of time. We want to thank the UFGA team, Megan, Cherie, Melvin, and all the others, and most of all, our community gardeners, who so shared their time, their resources, so generously with us. So thank you. Can you stand up, the UFGA team? Please, let's honor them, yes. Woohoo! Yes! Thank you! Thank you. Please, everybody, get some dessert and some drinks, whatever. We will be bringing any leftovers to Rondo Library, which is one of our favorite libraries as well. Okay, God bless and take care. Bye-bye.